Happy Monday and happy June, Sonder family. It is very, very nice to welcome you to a new month, your first weekly setup in the month of June and the theme of flow. And Maya and I are just so glad that you carved out this time to be here for yourself and for one another. Welcome, welcome. My name is Jennifer Ogilvy. I'll be your on-screen facilitator. I'm coming to you from the Dallas, Texas area. My little city is called Garland. And then joining me today, who will be hanging out in the chat, Maya Martin Glenn. And so if you came to a monthly or weekly setup this past weekend, chances are you had the two of us. Maya worked every single event, so she's already exhausted in this brand new month. But I'm so excited to be able to hang out with her this Monday morning. So, yeah, we've got a new to-do list for June. Like, let's plan a beach trip or a trip to the water. I know the beach isn't possible for everybody. With your ride or die, maybe go get a good healthy smoothie to start the month, buy yourself a bouquet, plan a spontaneous trip, whether it's a big one or little one. We're going to try to find our flow through some of that fun stuff, express gratitude to someone you cherish, and quit a bad habit and build a good one. So, thanks, y'all. I got a haircut. I did some layers. I'm playing around learning how to how to use a curling iron. So thank you for those compliments. Yeah, y'all have made my day. Thank you so much. Make sure your chat is set to everyone. That is how we will communicate with one another this morning. And also, if you haven't, when we're done this morning, take a moment to go to your Zoom, sign in, and make sure that you have the latest version of Zoom because the newest iteration of Zoom allows you to actually react to comments separately. And you don't have to go back and do like, at Radhika, yes, I think the same thing, or whatever. You can directly respond to the messages that are in chat, and you'll be able to also do like little emoticons. And so you'll want to make sure you are updated to the latest iteration of Zoom. And that just happened this weekend. Maya's really great about staying on top of it. And we were working the first event this week, and she's like, I think I can respond to everybody. And so I got mine updated, and it's just so much fun. It's another way to love each other. So yeah, and if you know what, sometimes I forget how to go update. If you can just do a Google search, how to update my Zoom, and it'll walk you through those steps too. So all righty, so let's jump in. I want to make sure I'm going to share this at the end as well. We have a mid-year reset coming up with our founder, Meha Agrawal, and it's so fun to hang out with her because she brings her Silk and Sonder passion to all of the events that she does. This is going to be that mid-year reset. You know, in Silk and Sonder, we love a reset. That's why we love our fresh journals every month. We've learned how to give ourselves lots of grace, and we're always looking back so that we can look forward. And so that's what you will find at this wonderful event, which will be on June 16th. It is a free event. And speaking of Maya, Maya will be hanging out in the chat for that event. So you'll get to hang out with Maya and Mayhop for that. So you're going to want to be sure that you register for this one. It's just such a good, middle of June. We're getting ready to say we've said goodbye to winter. We're almost done with spring. Summer solstice is coming, and then we'll be looking at the second half of the year. So give yourself that treat. And if you are unable to go, I'm going to suggest still signing up, and then you will get an email when it's done that'll take you directly to the recording, but it will also be found on you on the YouTube link. But that way you'll have that reminder like, oh yeah, I wanted to do that. It's always better in real life because of the chat, right? We love to support one another. So welcome to this community this morning. If there's anybody here joining us for the first time, put a me in the chat because this community will want to welcome you. You will notice how everybody's talking and communicating and loving on each other and cheering each other on. That's what's beautiful about this community. So we always share the community guidelines. I don't know if there's anybody new. I think you guys are all the professional Silken Sonderers. But we want to remind you of our community guidelines. Of course, we always call out the hello at silkensonder.com for our headquarters address. And just that reminder about how we create these safe spaces for one another. So welcome in, everybody. Let's go. And we might even have some folks who don't normally come on Mondays. So if this is like sort of new for you to get up and start your week with that, welcome to Monday mornings. It's good to have you here. So our new theme, y'all have been putting in the work. We've been talking about, our first 5 months themes were tough themes, right? And we looked at alignment and we looked at our belief system. We just finished up this whole month of integrity. And are we living to the type of person we really desire to be? We're going to take a break from some of that hard work and we're going to take that hard work into this new theme of flow. Y'all, I'm so excited because this month and next month we have a little bit lighter uh, themes to guide us as we explore, who we are. And so we've got flow, and then I'm not going to tell you what July is, but you're going to love July too. So I found this great graphic about flow, the flow state. And it's so good because it really will influence the way we set up our goals and our to-dos and what habits we have. So to be in a real flow state, your goals have to be clearly defined. They need to be able to offer you immediate feedback. I was saying the example, like maybe a goal is to run a marathon. And so you start training, but the marathon's not the goal. The goal needs to be something like set my tennis shoes out by my door. And then you get immediate feedback. Oh, there's my tennis shoes to remind me. So we break that big goal up into all these smaller goals. Time distortion. You lose yourself. You just lose yourself because you're so much in a vibe. And time distortion. We always say that's called silk and sonder time because you know how fast these hours go. It's like it's not a real hour. You have a loss of self-consciousness, very deep focus, and then there's this intrinsic motivation. It's bringing you such joy. And then there's this balance between how challenging it is and how much you're using your skills. So if you have something that's super challenging, but you don't have the skill base for it, it can cause anxiety, right? But if you've got all these skills and you're using them, but you're not challenged, that creates boredom. The sweet spot for flow is when you're challenged and using your skills together in alignment. So it's going to be a pretty fun month as we find out, how we tap into our flow. Alrighty, so our agenda this morning, bonus mind map. So if you are here for the first time, the mind map is an extra question an extra journal prompt that we do at the weekly setups. It's not in your journal. You'll want to do this on a blank page, your scratch pad in your weekly setup. People will set this whole thing up. We'll have 4 weeks of flow. So you might want to designate a particular notes page just for your flow mind map. But this morning is kind of a transition question. So we're looking at the past going into flow. It's a bonus standalone question. We had kind of 5 weekends in May. So the first 4 weekends that we set up were dedicated to each one of the mind map questions. This 5th weekend, since it is transitioning into a new theme, is a little mix of both, but it's a bonus standalone question. So this can be done anywhere. We're going to do the rosebud thorn reflections, and then of course set up our weekly weekly pages. You may already have your cadence. You've set this appointment for yourself. You know what you're going to do. You wanted to hang out with these folks and visit with everybody. And so, or you're here looking to maybe try something different. And I did try to pull some ideas to support this idea of our flow journey. So maybe you'll try something later on in the month. Okay, so let's get going with the bonus mind map question. You'll want to find a blank space in either May's journal or June's journal. You might want to finish this one up somewhere in May if you have space left. But we're asking the question about what truth you're aware of, right? So the question reads, what truth am I aware of, but not fully acting on? What is one thing, just one thing, that I noticed this month that I felt called to act on? And how did honoring or ignoring that impulse change my momentum going forward? And I had shared that integrity map gap journal prompt that we did with, it was, remember, it was the like the Venn diagram, and we had who I am and who I want to be. And that was something that really called me out personally and helped me answer this week's mind map question. I sort of went future forward with who I want to be, thinking of what I want 90 years old to look like. And when I thought about that, I want to be spry. I don't want to be using a cane. I want to be strong. I want to have a sharp mind. And so when I went who I want to be and then looked at who I am, I could see a huge gap in the fact that I'm not putting in place those things right now with the person that I hope to be someday. Now, it could just be something about like who I want to be, in my everyday life now. But I kind of took that into the future. I think I do that a lot now that I'm a little bit older. And so that really called me out. And so it has helped me sort of think about what do I need to do and be a little more serious about now. And I'm always talking about, I'm a terrible sleeper. I stay up way too late, but I do need to embrace my rest with a little bit better attitude. And then of course, health and nutrition, moving my body and putting good things in my body, not the snacky snacks and that kind of thing. So that's kind of, I looked at that gap map, and that was my biggest takeaway this month. I had shared with you, I lost my brother at the end of March. And so I've sort of just been blurring my days. I haven't been making good choices for me. I've just sort of been leaning into grief, letting grief do its thing, but it's made me fall off the wagon, if you will. But it's a season. It's just, I'm giving myself that time. We have all been there. I know what I, it's okay that those spaces are blank that I didn't do, but it's kind of time for me to shore it up. And this integrity gap map showed that to me. So that might be a good place for you to start, or go back and look at those prompts that you did and look at what have you been led to act upon as we look at the past few months with beliefs and awareness and integrity. And when we act upon that, then we get more aligned and we find a flow state. All right, so lots of chatting. I'm going to stop talking so you can start thinking about this one. You might want to take a picture of of this question and let it marinate for the week as you walk along. And then we'll get going with the rest of our setup. love the comments in the chat, and they're making me think. I 100% wouldn't draw awareness to the idea that, I'm not doing what I need to do to be that vital person, right? To maintain vitality through my life. If it weren't for like this journal and the tools and the monthly themes and digging in and working and trying to be the best version of myself. And I'm so proud to be surrounded by a community like y'all, because I do think that that is very helpful for us as we do try to be the best version of ourselves. I also want to remind you that we will have seasons that are hard and tough. And it may be something that our mental health is not where it needs to be. And it's okay to just embrace that season for what it is and give yourself permission if you're not 100% aligned all the time. That's also part of our life's journey, and we're going to have ups and downs. So I just want to make sure that we call that out as well, because this is not about ever making us feel guilty. And sometimes we are not our best selves. But now we can be proud of ourselves for knowing, okay, but I have tools. And I can, always go back to those tools. I am learning every single day more and more about who I am. So, oh, I love that June is your birthday month. Happy birthday. If there's any other June people in the chat, today, let us tell you happy birthday while we're talking about that. So, absolutely, it's a long journey, and we think we think everything's great, and then something happens that'll knock us down, and it's okay to be down for a little bit and figure out what we can learn from that, take from that, and then move forward as we heal. We're all in a process of healing in life, so good job, y'all. And if you didn't get this one finished up, it's okay. It's not going anywhere. It can bounce around in your mind for the week. So now we're doing that exercise of gratitude by looking at the roses, the buds, and the thorns from just this last week, this last 7 days. What did it bring your way? Those thorns are the challenges, the things that didn't go well, the stuff that you maybe wish didn't happen. Some of our thorns stay with us, they don't go away, especially like if you are a caregiver for someone or you're fighting a health battle, they are living there. I always suggest trying to find what your learning is from that thorn. And mine wasn't a big deal this week. Of course, I'm still walking around with grief, but gosh, my knees this week, I just have very achy knees. I'm actually standing at my desk because it allows me the opportunity to do like some kickbacks, and my yoga teacher always says motion is lotion. So I'm trying to lotion up those joints. What are your buds? What are you looking forward to? It could be just this week, or maybe this afternoon, or maybe at the end of the year. We all have things to look forward to. I think this part is really important, and it could just be something as simple as it's a new day. And if you're in a season where it's hard to find those buds, when you get it written down, maybe take some color and draw around that bud to help remind yourself. I do have some good things to look forward to. For me, I made a cardiology appointment. My brother, when he died from a heart attack. It was because of his alcoholism and the abuse he had done with his body, but it did make me get a little worried about my ticker. So I made a cardiology appointment several weeks ago, and I went this week, and I got really good news. And we're going to do a couple more tests just to make sure. But my cardiologist looked at me and he said, "You are not your brother, and we're going to get some weight off, but you're pretty healthy. And when I look at wellness, I think you're up here." And oh my gosh, that just filled my heart, especially with what I've realized about not taking care of myself. So I'm ready to move on. So that's my bud, just that beginning and thinking about, okay, I'm pretty healthy. And so I had that good heart check. And then my rose, what I'm celebrating, the best thing that I think happened last week was Austin Louise, who is 4 years old, had her very first dance recital. And it was just adorable. And so that was like, it'll be right here, carried in my heart. She was so cute. So it was her first dance recital. I can't wait to hear about y'all's. And so yeah, and you know what? Go to the doctor, y'all. If there's something that is self-care. I don't like to go. I get very anxious about all my doctor's appointments, but that is the best form of self-care you can do. So it's like the grown-up self-care. All right, so let's take a look at your roses, buds, and thorns. Share, where do you need support? Let us cheer each other on, and then send out some virtual love for those things that are a little tougher. All right. Thanks for looking back over your last week. I actually have, look, I have Mr. Rogers on today in tribute to It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood as we reflected over our roses and our buds and our thorns. For those of y'all who maybe haven't seen, I put as my celebrity dinner guest that I would love to have dinner with, when they ask you that question, dead or alive. Mine is Mr. Rogers. You can go see, I even have it on my Silk and Sonder for that. I would love to break bread with him. I am celebrating those good things that happened to y'all. Y'all had some fun stuff last week. And then some of your thorns. I have been through allergy testing before, and it is. You're so itchy. It's crazy. So good for you surviving that. And I'm scrolling through lots of good things there. And Maya mentioned that it is her birthday month, and she's going to start paying attention to those birthday emails, where you like get a free lemonade or, coffee on us. And it got me thinking, if y'all have some like national birthday stuff that you've subscribed to, where you get freebies on your birthday. Drop those in the chat this morning, and let's share. We'll all go sign up for those discounts, and get our little free treat for being born. That's a really great way to celebrate. Oh, Sephora. Oh, Lord, I didn't know they had one. Okay, well, that's not good in the best way. Yes, and I always get my $5 Kohl's Cash. I love that. And what's kind of funny is I usually go buy a new pair of underwear using that $5, my new birthday panties. So let's turn to page. Do you really, Maya? That's hilarious. Let's turn to page 26 and 27 in June. La da da da, our brand new journal. There is your brain over there in its flow state. Isn't that a cute little graphic? So yeah, we're gonna start finding our flow. I'm gonna talk a bit about the flow state throughout our setup this morning and some ideas for you to think about. So here are, I always love to do like show and tell. Here's a couple of examples of full pages of page number one. And both of these really lean into the idea of flow. I chose them because of that. Look at the habit and activity tracker on the left. They're tracking two things, and look at how beautiful they are: hibiscus tea and movement. And so, really like whittling it down to the main thing. I love that. They're going to meditate, 1 minute breath work. Remember how I talked about your goals need to be, give you those results immediately? 1 minute. That's what they're dedicating to that. And light the candle, that moment of mindfulness. So beautiful way to find flow and feel calm, which is their word. The one over there on the right, I think is from last June, but I believe this was Gloria's. And I want to nourish, not feel nourished, but I want to nourish. And she says, I want to nourish my mind, my body, my soul. Thank you, Gloria. And she did an acrostic with nourish in her to-do list. And then you'll notice her habit and activities have just lots of little little things written there. What she did is created this reward system. So one of her wellness things to nourish her mind was limit screen time. And so if she was under an hour and a half, she gave herself 3 points. If she would, or no, more, oh no, if she did an hour, at least an hour and a half, 3 points. 2 hours was if she spent 2 hours, 2 points, and 2.5, 1 point. So she kind of made this little point system. And I've got another one of yours, Gloria, that shows your point system a little bit later. But what I love about this is then she is going to reward herself based on the number of points that she earned this week. So very focused on that. And her rewards are very sweet, small, simple things like an iced coffee for 20 points. Go out and have an iced coffee, or take a little solo walk. And with that mindfulness and intention, it makes it special. So, and it helps you stay on track. Yeah, we love, I mean, it's like being in first grade again and getting that gold star. So now let's start off with how we want to feel. And I loved this one. Gloria, is it yours also? This was an oldie I found. I searched for flow in all my graphics. Yep. And so I love this. She wants to flow like the water and find moments of zen. And I was like, oh, that's going into this week's slideshow. So how do you want to feel? So think about what the week might bring your way. It could be you want to feel like you're in that flow state. Use our theme word for this whole month, if that's what works for you, or bring over a word that was very effective to, embody how you want to feel. There's a lot of great words over here on this feelings wheel. The bottom half has all the positive things. I'm seeing, drop that in the chat. Yeah. Cheery. That's a great one. I love that, Sonia. You might want to set a word for each day. Like you see that little middle example. I love less burned out. Look at that match. Just going. And then maybe there's a big fat juicy sticker that will set you up for how you want to feel. We've got some great words, but listen, I love this idea of being in flow state. And it says a big part of being happy is being excited. And so that could be a word you go to. And it says, be excited for everything. Can you imagine approaching all the things with excitement? Making a cup of tea, seeing a friend, looking forward to the next episode. I know Maya's been watching The Pit. We've been talking about it. Being excited about that next episode. Buying something that you might have saved up for, noticing a sunset, traveling, loving your spouse, your partner every day. Live a life you're excited about. So maybe that's a word that you will come. So you will come to. We're going to take that word into our three major goals. Both of these examples, again, kind of epitomize a flow state of mind. Have a purposeful AM, starting the day with a good rhythm and routine. Have balanced days and be creatively accomplished and use those crafts for motivation. And if you're the creative type, you're going to find flow when you are deep into that state of creating. The one over there on the right, there's four things: create, move, journal, read every day. And so your goals are about taking what you need, right? You can have four goals, you can have one goal. Now, I want to share this graphic. I'm going to probably keep this up throughout the month for our weekly setups because it talks about all the things that have to come together for flow state, like we were talking about earlier. Um, this psychologist says that first you should know there's a chance of completing your task. This is all about setting goals for flow. So you need to know that you can complete it. I cannot complete a marathon no matter what I do. I have the bad knees, right? So that's not a good goal for me. I need to have a goal that I know I'm going to complete. And you need to have immediate feedback. And then there needs to be deep involvement. So you really need to be, just fall into it. And you need to have a sense of control over your actions. So this graphic, I think, can really inform how we set up all the things for our month, right? Okay. So as we're setting these goals, y'all just worked on your intentions. Maybe not. You might be coming to tonight's monthly setup, so you might want to leave this blank. But if you filled out your start, stop, and continue space and you set your intentions, both of those pages can greatly influence how you do your goals and your to-dos for the month, right? And finding that state of flow. How can you prioritize flow this month? Maybe you need a personal challenge, like I was saying. My three goals this week are nutrition, movement, and then my mental and emotional health through the idea of an artist date with myself. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But that addresses my spiritual health, which in my intentions page, I wrote artist date. And then under physical health, I wrote mindful nutrition, meaningful movement. So those are showing up in my weekly setup. All righty. And then maybe you just do some no goals. What are you taking away? Maybe go look at your stop box. Are there some goals that could be derived from that? And then, of course, we have the categories. And this is always a great place to start. If you're just like, I don't even know what I want for my goals, then pick one of these categories like productive, peaceful, and powerful, and fill those in with something that's peaceful, something that's productive, something that's powerful. I'm going to go back through these slides while you work on it, but here's some more examples from Sonder Family of the categories, picking a category and plugging in the thing. And then you can also repurpose this space. And so we've got a tracker over there with a little, it says prolific progress, and it's the things that they want to be working on constantly. And then a midday check-in. Have I moved? Am I in bed? And what is my energy level? And then they've made a little mini tracker there. So I love that. The goal there in the middle, the bottom middle, they want more of something and less of something. So just opening their journal, seeing those words. I love that repurpose. All righty. And then we'll look at our to-dos. So these two graphics show how the goals are directly informing the to-dos. Now, your to-do list can stand alone, right? It doesn't have to definitely work into those goals. But sometimes it works really nicely to put them together. But I also want you to think about reframing, because if we are excited about life and we're finding our flow, we're going to have some different talking points going off in our head. So instead of saying, I'm just not where I want to be, we're going to be saying, I'm on my way. I've come so far. So we're going to do a shift so that we can be excited about life. So that graphic can really inspire that thought process. We like to share the Eisenhower matrix. This is great if your to-do list is really long and you don't know where to start. Plug in the things that are important and urgent. And the things that go in the delete box, sometimes you can't delete anything off of that list, but you can delete the things that you're doing that are standing in your way of knocking off that list, like mindless scrolling, or maybe you said you're going to watch 2 episodes of something and you watched 4 episodes of something and now you have an hour less time. Was that something that you could have deleted so that you could have tackled some of those to-dos? So think about that box maybe in that direction. And then I shared this last week. I wanted to bring it around again. The Kanban technique or method or theory. It comes from Toyota, and this is a physical, tangible to-do list. And for some of us who are very kinesthetic people, we like to touch. This could be so helpful to you. Yeah, yay to Kanban. And so you can see little post-it notes, and they can be moved from the to-do list to I'm doing it in progress right now. And then when you're finished, you move it over to the done list. And Cassie, that was yours, right? Am I remembering that correctly? So that's how this was used. And yes, ADH brain and touching the physicalness of touching that and moving those things, just, for some brains, it really works. It's really good for me to do something very tangible like that. All right. And then you can put whatever you want on your to-do list. Maybe it just needs to say, I'm going to wake up and drink coffee. And now 2 things are knocked off of that list, but you could do stickers. You can just make a priority list for the week. And let's see where we are with time. Okay. I'm going to put on a little music. I'll go back through our goals and to-dos. Let us know what you're doing. And then we'll drop down and do those habits. All right, we got a little bit of chatter about that Kanban board. And y'all, this is also a really good technique for like chores that have to be done. You make a refrigerator Kanban, and it can be kind of a family approach, and let everybody buy in. Look, what do we need to do in our home? and have everybody, work on post-it notes and then take ownership with that. You could even color code for the people who are going to do said job. And then I wanted to shout out, we've got this, there's a thing called it's by Scotch, and it's called a repositional glue stick. And you can make your own post-it notes with this repositional glue stick. And it puts a little sticky on it like the post-it note sticky, and it doesn't make it glue down to your page, so that you can move things from page to page to page. And so I love this thing. And Amazon, you can get them. It to me, it's a treat. But then you can make any piece of paper repositional, a post-it note. So anyhow, yes, one more time, Scotch repositional glue stick, and it says light duty on it. And so these are amazing. And yeah, like I had it right here. I wanted to pull that out for you because, yeah, a lot of chatting about that Kanban. So now we're going to go look at those habits and activities and look at this graphic. So when you set hard habits, like I was saying, running a marathon, you might have ups and downs with that because that's a big, audacious, hairy goal, right? But if you make them easy and consistent, look at the B line. Yep. Consistent, consistent, consistent. It's a habit that you can do no matter what life brings your way. So that's really good to see there. Keep that in mind as you're doing your habits and activities. Here's some examples. You can set goals. You don't have to set goals. You can just use this as a straight tracker. I want to point out the one that's on the bottom right because there are no goals set for the first three things, but those first three things have to do with interacting with their journal. So if you find yourself like, I keep slipping up and I'm not doing the things in my journal and I'm so much better when I do, then go put your journal pages in this tracker and hold yourself accountable that way. That's a great tip to do that. And then they want to attend two Sonder socials, and then they are going to update a weekly prompt and just one time. So you can circle the days you need particular things to happen, like that upper example. And then this is one of Gloria's point systems. So it's a little bit bigger so you can see. And I wanted to point out, you see, if she earns 21 points, she's going to give herself an artist date. And so that is, I've got a description there of what an artist date is. It's really a solo date, right? And it helps you find your time to decompress and really focus on yourself. And I love this. Julie Cameron wrote The Artist Way, and that's where this artist date comes up. And she writes, an artist date has two parts, artist and date. Choose something enchanting to you. So this is going to look different for everybody, and do not stand yourself up. And so this inspired me when I rediscovered this graphic. I thought, I'm going to do an artist date for my mental and emotional wellness. I'm going to have at least one a week where it's just this intentional time for me. This week's is going to be take myself to the library. I love to sit in the library, and I'm going to read. And that's my artist date this week. But it could be a creative thing. It could be a slow walk where you're like, I'm going to look for 10 yellow things on my walk. So I wanted to bring that around for y'all. That could be a really fun way to either put it in your mind body health plan, or maybe you incorporate like this point system with your habits and activities if that's something that's speaking to you. Of course, we have the Pomodoro technique to knock that to-do list off. And this person actually put the Pomodoro in their habit and activity tracker for the week. And there's the graphic that shows what you do. You choose a task, you work on it for 25 minutes, and you focus for 25 minutes, and then boom, enjoy a 5-minute break, and then you repeat, and you just repeat that cycle. You can go look for more information on a Pomodoro. I work really well under a timer, kind of like the post-it note thing. It just, for me, beating the clock gives me that inspiration. So you might want to figure out a way to work under a timer. And then we have some habit and activity ideas for that space. Let's work on this for just a minute, and then we're going to go jump over to our next page. I love that music. That's good. Clean the house music. Get you moving. Alrighty. So while you're finishing up this section, we're going to go ahead and start talking about our next page. Of course, I have a couple of examples from y'all to share. You can see that we've got a meal plan being used as a meal plan there on the left. Mind Body Health is very much dedicated to physically moving their body. We've got a very positive sticker in the shopping list with some little doodles, which are it's so good for your brain when you just make little doodlies. And what they're loving, the one next to it, what they're loving is filled with beautiful flowers. So I'm hoping that means, oh, yay, Ariel, thank you for sharing your journal page with us. Did you have flowers blooming or were you just loving those stickers? I love those. They're so bright and cute. She turned her shopping list into her chore bingo for the week. And then the focus for mind, body, health. You're growing sunflowers. I love that. There's seven positive things. So just this little mini reflection, how am I where was my self-care? What did I clean? What a digital detox, very good for finding flow, deleting, donating. So those little things, and then she's writing her affirmations. Lots of us use this space for affirmations. So we'll jump into the meal plan, which can be used as a meal plan or repurposed. And everything I'm going to show you from here going forward can be put in any of these spaces. So let's take a look. So here are two examples of focusing on a team meal plan. Yes, Michelle. So here's a meal plan example there on the left. And then this person has taken their mind, body, health space and repurposed it into eating the rainbow. They've written a lot of stuff there to remind themselves of how they can get all those different colors worked into their nutrition for the week. And so I love that when they open their journals, that's what they see to remind themselves of how they want to eat this week. Lots of repurposing ideas. Both of these examples I felt really blended into this idea of the flow within our life. A reflection on reading. I reached out to, I created, I completed, and I enjoyed, as well as the meal plan for my soul, which is just those little mini journal reflections. Any way we can find our flow. Some more examples of repurposing the meal plan, this space. Thought this was kind of neat. The one on the left, prepare your mind, strategy, body, skills, finances, family, and soul. And then these little ways that that's going to happen for them. Weekly reflections, word of the day. Yeah, fly by the seat of your pants. And see, Sonia, that gets me into so much trouble. I'm making poor decisions. So I said, I think a week ago that one of the small steps I was going to take was a meal plan. And Jim and I sat down and we planned our meals. And guess what? I ate better because there was some intention. Oh, Carly, you're welcome. Sorry you have to hop a little early, but we were glad you're here. Now let's look at some mind body health plan ideas. I always call this the selfish space. What are you going to do for just you? Maybe that shows up here. I love this. Search for one thing today that reminds you of the best of humanity, which we need, and hold on to it, share it, treasure it, and return to it when you need encouragement. So maybe this becomes a highlight of the day or finding glimmers. I also have a glimmer slide to show you, but this is a really nice purpose for this space. Here's some alliteration. Monday, move body. Tuesday, tune out noise. Wednesday, walk in water, etc., etc. Using your stickers. Look at the bottom left there. There's that idea of doing a menu, and then the days that those things happen, you draw lines and connect with that. So that you can see, baking happened on Sunday, but so did rest and renew. And then the mind body health has some release, rejoice, revive, etc. over there on the right. But then what gets in your way? So that intentionality of thinking through what stands in my way of releasing things that are holding me back and rejoicing in all. And so then they looked at emotional, physical, mental, and social. So very much tied into intention work. I thought that was a really great way to frame that out. Here's some more mind body my health plans. I love the plant care. That's an old graphic, but it's so, so cute. Naming all those sweet plants of hers, some little mini journal prompts, and then the shopping list, of course, can be a shopping list, but we have some fun repurposing there. Doodles are good for you. I love the one on the bottom, kind of in the middle there, that task, and it's all about finances. And so it makes me think maybe this is tied directly into the money management intentions part of the intention page. And that's how they are going to hold themselves accountable with that money management. And of course, we dig a bingo board. And if it's your birthday, make a birthday week bingo. I always love that. And yeah, Mary Ellen, I'm going to go back through all of these while y'all work on that. And then there is a glimmer slide with just a little more about glimmers, which are the opposite of triggers. And so this can really be good when you seek out those happy little sparks. Here's a mindfulness challenge that might make its way into your journal. And then finally, ask yourself what you are loving right now. Let me put on a little bit of music. I'll go back through all these slides. All righty. All right, we were in our flow as usual, and this is the fastest hour of our entire week. We are so glad that you chose to carve out time this morning to start your week. Maya and I are really proud of you, and we loved hanging out with you. We have recorded this, so if you missed a graphic that you need to go grab, it'll be up in probably a half hour, and you can go to that recording and go grab that. Also, if you haven't done your monthly setup, Maya and I will be back tonight. Maya will be on screen. I'll be hanging out in the chat. We would love to see your setup in Sonder Club, so please share your weekly planner. Also, try Sonder Coach if you haven't already. This is a little free test drive, and then send Meha your thoughts about what you experienced. She's very interested in knowing what you think about that. Your experience, how was it confusing? Was it helpful? All those things. And Maya's going to drop all those quick links in the chat so you can grab those there as well. And then, of course, one more shout out for that mid-year setup. And we're just so glad that you joined us. There's some music we listened to today. We got to get Maya off this call so she can go to work. Thank y'all. I send you lots of light and love, Sonder.